Hassan, and also thank you for the Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Woo!
And I'm very excited to announce our speaker today. He's one of my closest friends. We're also passionate Georgia Bulldog fans. And, can't wait for the season. He's going to go undefeated and win the whole thing. Absolutely. And then one of our favorite quotes is, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And I've heard Chris say that many times, and that's always inspired me. He's always been an inspiration to me. He's owned several businesses. He's taught at University of Georgia, at Kennesaw State. He's taught there also, and at Georgia State. He's taught entrepreneurship. Like I said, he's owned several businesses, taught entrepreneurship around the world, been to Greece and Romania. He's got some really interesting stories. And he currently owns his own leadership institute, and he's going to talk to us today about how entrepreneurship can help our returning citizens. So please welcome Mr. Chris Hanks.
I'm not sure if I need this or not. Can you guys hear me okay? Or?
Yeah.
You can use it.
I'm good without it?
Yeah.
Okay,
You can
good.
use it. We can't hear you all the way back.
Oh, my bad, okay. So what's the one question that your leadership answers? Have you ever thought about that? Like, I just believe, like, I was just amazed, like, all these people and the people that I've been meeting doing these amazing things. And I think about, okay, if there's one question that your leadership answers, you represent the answer to this question, what is it? I think that's an important question for all leaders, not just, CEOs and business owners, but all people to sort of consider. Like, I love the power of questions. Lao Tzu once said, an effective leader will run out of answers long before he or she runs out of questions. So I'm not smart enough to know the right answers a lot of times,
Right.
but if I can just focus on the right question, that will gravitate me, right? That will serve as a compass. Like, for example, I've been married for 28 years. Brian and I are really good friends. I met him my freshman year at University of Georgia College at Russell Hall, where I met my wife as well, at University of Georgia, and she liked Brian first. She did, that's a true story. She liked him,
Right.
and we were all part of a big friend group and all that stuff. So I've been married, so I bring that up just because, like, as an example, because I've been married so long, and I teach a lot of workshops and seminars on how do we grow businesses, how do we start businesses, how do we get the people who work for us to act and think like they own their positions and all that kind of stuff. But you will never, ever, ever find me teaching a class on how to be a good husband. I do not have a clue. And you think that but his experience makes us better. No, it doesn't. Experience doesn't make us better. It's evaluating experience that makes us better. When people say, I've got 10 years of experience doing that. No, you got 1 year of experience. It's just repeated 10 times. It doesn't necessarily make you better, right? It doesn't necessarily make you better. But if I focus on the questions, like, all right, I know I can't figure out this whole husband thing. I will never. I got enough experience. Don't know what to do. But to say, okay, if there's one thing I did today, if there's just one thing I did today, to attempt to be a better husband, what would that be? You know what I did before I came here? I took out the recycling without being yelled at.
Hey, there you go.
So yeah, there we go. I did that. So, does that make me a great husband? No, it doesn't. But at least I'm trying. So the power of questions is powerful, right? And so when I think about what's the question that your leadership answers, like for me, it has been for a very, very, very long time is how do we use this thing called entrepreneurship to change people's lives? Because I just really am so convicted that there are a lot of tools in the toolbox, but my gosh, this is one of the best ones that I can use and share with people to change their lives, regardless of status and regardless of whether or not they want to start their own business. Because if we all started thinking and acting more like entrepreneurs, that entrepreneurial mindset, our lives get better and we get better at life. I am so convinced of that. Because I think we can all be entrepreneurs regardless of occupation, right? Because you all have a P&L. You got money coming in, money going out, I'm assuming, right? And so when you start to analyze, we all have a brand. What's the thing that you want me to think about you when you walk out this room? That's your brand, right? So we all have that. So boy, if I started thinking about that and say, hey, maybe I only have one customer. Like, what if I started viewing my boss as a customer, not as a boss? I bet my life gets better. A boss, I show up 5 minutes before the boss shows up and leave 5 minutes after the boss leaves and do enough work just not to get fired. Oh, but a customer, oh, I've got to exceed your expectations every time. So, okay, my boss is not my boss. My subordinates are not my subordinates, they're my customers. I have to serve them. And the better I serve them, the better my life gets. Isn't that kind of cool? Like to start thinking with that kind of mindset, and entrepreneurship just allows that, and it's such a wonderful thing. And I'm so crazy passionate about this entrepreneurship thing. But I get criticized for it. I get criticized a lot for it because people think that, well, you're just infusing capitalism on, and I do a lot with children, I do a lot with I'm just very involved in entrepreneurship. And I started up some entrepreneurship programs, not only at universities level. I founded the one at University of Georgia, the one at Kennesaw State, and a few internationally, and 16 entrepreneurship programs in total at the university level. But I've also done it elementary, Brookwood Elementary, right here in Gwinnett County. Phenomenal program in entrepreneurship. But I get criticized. Oh, you're going to third graders and teaching them to be entrepreneurs. Like, well, no, I'm not really doing the third graders and infusing capitalism on them. Because what we would do, instead of Shark Tank, we call it Shrimp Tank. That's really cute. But that little girl who made her cookies, whether or not she's the next Mrs. Fields, I don't know. Maybe she is, maybe she doesn't, but I don't really care. But I know that that little girl's a better version of herself by having gone through that.
Come on.
That's an experience that she'll never forget. So, this thing called entrepreneurship is so empowering. And I know I just got a couple of minutes and all that, so I just thought, what if I just explored the why? Why is that? And I'm still unraveling that answer for myself, because this has been a pursuit for me for a long time. I'm a sort of, I just kind of fell into this whole education thing. I was an entrepreneur who just fell into teaching by coming to guest speak at universities, and then I just fell into teaching and just found out, I love this. I love to give this gift of entrepreneurship to help people change their lives, and I love that. And so I love what it can do. And so I don't know if I'm qualified, and I don't know if I know all the answers. I spent so much time in academia, but I don't have the PhDs and stuff like that. I just don't have that. I'm just a guy with a lot of passion. And recognize that this tool can really help you. So I thought in the limited time, since I don't really know all the answers why, I think it's a deeper reason. I think there's deeper reasons than the surveys. I know what the surveys say is, why does entrepreneurship call to us? Why is it that 72% of all Americans at one point in their life think about starting something for themselves? Now they think about it, doesn't mean they do it, but 72% of adults in this country at some point seriously evaluate whether or not they should start their own thing. And I think that's really interesting. Only 10 to 13% of the 72% ever take action on that thought, right? So the courage to act always defines the entrepreneur. It's not it's not the knowledge, it's not the thinking about it, it's the doing of it. It's the courage to do, right? That's what defines us as entrepreneurship. I used to say to students all the time that action trumps everything in entrepreneurship. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? When are you going to do it? Not, hey, I got this idea. Great. Okay, go get me 10 customers by next week. I can't do that. Why? Well, I need to do this first. Great, go do that first. So the courage to act, the courage to do. Why is entrepreneurship so incredibly appealing to all of us? At some point I realized most of us think about that. What do you think the number one reason is? The number one reason.
Be your own boss.
You got it. There it is. Number one. It's survey after survey. It's be your own boss. BYOB. Yeah. I think maybe that's one of the reasons my classes were popular. BYOB students be like, yeah, let's go. But no, it's BYOB stands for
Be your own boss.
Be your own boss. Yeah. What's the number one reason people quit jobs?
Their boss.
That's the number one reason by far. Statistically, people don't quit jobs. They quit bosses.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time now as I built this Institute for Entrepreneurship, and I had to focus first on the business owners because they can pay the premium to support the student work that we want to do. So these business owners, and I'll have a business owner group, maybe not quite this size, maybe a little bit smaller, of business owners. And I was doing this late last week, and we're all together, and somebody's saying, you know what, just can't find good people. Got turnover. Got so much turnover, can't find good people. I keep hiring them, they keep leaving. It's like, wow, okay, you know what you're telling me? They're not quitting the job, they're quitting you. Who's responsible for hiring, for retaining, for inspiring, for sharing vision, for incenting, all those wonderful things? What makes you such a boss hole that you're that hard to work for? So, like, people quit bosses. So yes, and the idea is like, okay, I will never, ever, ever work for a boss like that again. Right? I will never feel demeaned. I find it so empowering that entrepreneurship, it doesn't care about your pedigree. Nobody asks what school you went to before you buy your product or service, right? Or what was your GPA? I'm sorry, what was your GPA? I'm sorry, tell me about your, there's nothing like that. If I provide you a product or service where the value exceeds the price I'm asking, a sale always occurs.
That's right.
Regardless. It's such a leveling of a playing field. More than anything else I can think of in our society, it automatically just levels the playing field. I love that story, what came out earlier about the background check, right? Yeah, think about the background check. But if I own my business,
Right.
all of a sudden I'm CEO.
That's right.
Well, who said you're CEO? I did. I anointed myself as CEO. I picked me, right? So that's kind of empowering. Like, wow, you can just choose that. Now, it's a lot of work to make that a reality, but that's okay. It's hard. It's a lot of work. That's okay. That's what makes it great. That's what makes it awesome. That's what makes it rewarding. I did this exercise in class one time and said, okay, I want you to, everybody's going to stand up and tell me the thing that they are most proud of. Let's write it down on the board. And then the result of that was every single one of those things that people said they were proud of, they were all really hard. They had to work for that. You know, well, I'm proud of my kids. Oh, wow, yeah, is parenting hard? You know, I'm proud of this, I'm proud of that. Everything that we're proud of comes with effort, and that's an okay thing. That's a wonderful thing. So, be your own boss, number one. Oh, absolutely. There's something about that calls to us. What do you think is number 2 on most surveys? Be your own boss, and I know sometimes it's semantics on some of these surveys where you're aggregating and that kind of thing, but be your own boss, number 2 tends to be make your own schedule. Yeah.
Passion.
Yeah, because you think about what's your most important asset? What's the most important thing that you have? Thank you. Oh, I hate MBA students when they debate me on that. MBA students love to debate that. No, time is money. That's my time. Money. Shut up. Is time not money? Money is not time. Oh, yeah, it is. Present value. It's like, shut up. That's not a thing. I actually, this is how I solved the debate. I was having a debate with an MBA student who's trying to, time is money, money's time. And I go, no, you messing with my time, you messing with money. No, shut up. If we went to the parking lot and someone put a gun to your head and said, give me your wallet or I'm pulling the trigger, what are you doing?
Give me your wallet.
In a heartbeat. I said, shoot, I'd take my wallet out. I'd give him my car keys. I'd give him your social security number, my mama's social security number. I'd sell everybody out. Why? Because I can repair that. I can fix that. I can make money. I can lose money. Money is a renewable resource. Money, you know how much money there is in the world? I don't either. Because with cryptocurrency and all that, I don't know. But I think, based on this, it's about $80.9 trillion. You know how much money that is? I don't really either. That's too much money for me to get my head around. So that means for whatever dream that we all share and have, the money is already in the bank. It's just in somebody else's bank. And all I got to do is create enough value. All I got to do is serve you in a way that you're not currently being served. And I can move just a little bit of that money into your bank account. So when people say there's no money, like you're not bound by your resources. You're bound by your lack of resourcefulness, right?
Right.
You know, so people say, like, people will always complain about what they don't have, but it's like, well, no, what we don't use.
Yes.
I got stuff that I can use to create value now. The money's there. Oh, the money's already there. So yeah, so it's not money that's our most, it's time. And so the idea that, no, I get to control my most important asset, my time. I get to choose when I go to the soccer game. I get to choose if I work today or not. I get to choose what I do, who I do it with, when I do it. That's an empowering kind of thing. So that tends to be a really, really super popular one. And I guess I'll close with the third, which is, the third is kind of a fun thing for me to talk about, especially with students. Because third, and I'll just sort of word it differently, like number 3 tends to pop up under these categories, is they term it as better use of my skills and talents. Because most people statistically aren't doing the thing that they feel called to do. They kind of fell into something. You know, I majored in this, and then I did that, and I got that job, and I went there. And so they tend to let life happen to them as opposed to them making a life and them creating it. And you know, it's like, okay, well, I got this blank sheet of paper, and I can write whatever story I want. And entrepreneurship empowers me to do that versus, okay, who can hire me now? Who can pay me the most? And that's where I'll go. So better use of my skills and talents. And at University of Georgia, I created a little tiny story, not too much, but a little bit. I created stories, bigger stories for than some of my outrageous and weird thoughts on things and some of the extreme views I took. Like, for example, this got me in trouble at Kennesaw State, because I thought if we're I brought the only entrepreneurship degree program to Georgia. We were second in the Southeast. That's why I hate Florida State. But I thought, how ridiculous is it for me? How ridiculous am I? How hypocritical that, like, I stand up there and I teach students, and then I test them. And I thought, you know, if this was the game of baseball, would I ever do that? If I said, hey, I want you to teach, I see something in you. I think you could be a wonderful baseball player. I see, I know you don't see it, but I see it. You could be a great baseball player. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to memorize these rules of baseball. And I want you to remember memorize the top 5 batting averages, and I'm gonna test you on that on Monday. Would you ever do that? What would you do if you wanted to teach somebody to love the game?
Play the game.
Ball it, get your glove, get a bat, let's go to the field and play. Let's just start playing. And then you'll start asking, hey, what's the rule on this? Or how do I get better at that? Once you start falling in love with the game. And I thought, how dare I? How dare I do that? Like, I'm doing that, so like, you know what? No more tests. We're gonna play. We're gonna play. I don't want, your ability to memorize does not define your success, not your ability to memorize or pick C over B. Some of my best entrepreneurial students were the ones that struggled the most, and that's okay. But they've got value in their own way. Because all of us have this special uniqueness inside of us. I really believe that, and entrepreneurship allows us to pull that out, right? So there's all of us who are blessed with something, some kind of specialness, and if I could pull that out, and I could really pull that out of you, I could wrap a business around it, and you can monetize that in some way. So better use of your skills and talents. The idea that, hey, you know what, I majored in accounting, and therefore I'm going to be an accountant. Well, maybe that's great, but what if you didn't really love accounting? And it's okay if you do. If you do, that's awesome. That's how you serve, and that's great, but what if you didn't? You know? And so the stir I kind of created a little bit at EGA was, because I found it fascinating that I get all these phenomenal students. I like just phenomenal, great kids. And they'd grow up their whole life, you know, a lot of them had good parents and a great foundation, and they would come and they'd be told things like, you know, you could do anything you want to do with your life. You could do anything. You could be anything. But then they get accepted to the Terry College of Business, where the entrepreneurship program was housed and where I was. Terry College of Business. And they went from, you can do anything you want with your life, to, oh, you're a risk management major? You can do these 3 things. Oh, you're an accounting major? You can do these 3 things. Oh, you're a marketing major? Here's basically the 3 things you can do. Now, I know that the school has to do that because you have to prepare them for the workforce, and I'm not complaining about that, but I thought that was interesting because what if you didn't fit into one of those boxes? What about us outcasted? Some of my students would joke, we're the land of misfit toys. We're the ones who don't really fit into those kind of boxes. And I thought it was so interesting, so we created these t-shirts and we said, Terry College of Business, where dreams get narrowed down. Because we're like, we can be anything to these 3 things. No. But for people who dare to dream, right, and dare to say, you know what, I believe that there's something better for us, that's an awesome place to be. I want to be around people who believe in their beauty of the beauty of the dreams, and expect the best and believe in the best in each other. And that's the institute that I'm creating now, and trying to get people associated with it and all that kind of stuff. And it's going so far so good. But the things that draw us to entrepreneurship tend to be your own boss, number 1. Control of my time, control of my schedule, number 2. And number 3, better use of skills and talents. There's more and all that kind of stuff. But I think I'm a little bit over, so I thought I'd pause there and answer any questions that you might have.
Where do we get in one of your classes? I'm going to listen.
No, I would love it. If you want to be a part of it and come out to our next workshop or whatever, you are more than welcome to come. So yeah, and no, it's not, don't worry about paying, charging, no.
Do you have a website or anything?
I don't. You know why? Like, I'm experimenting with this new thing. And again, this is weird, and marketing people are probably going to hate me for saying this. But I read this in a book a long time ago, and it stuck with me. It says, advertising is a tax paid by the unremarkable. Right? And so like, I felt like the best doctors in the world aren't buying billboards saying, I'm the best, come see me. If you're the best, you don't have to get a megaphone and convince people that you're the best, right? So I thought, what if I created this institute and I just need 120 people, 120 students, 120 business owners who want the best results they can. What if I could do that without that? Because I had one business owner say, well, send me your website, send me your collateral, and I'll decide. I was like, that's not how it works. You are selected and invited in. So let me interview you and see if you're the right fit for us. You know, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So we are, what I do right now is each business owner takes a turn hosting and they figure it out. So sometimes I teach at the Georgia Club, sometimes I teach, I got a close relationship with the Russell Entrepreneurship Center, sometimes there, sometimes at the businesses' facilities. So they just take turns hosting. So,
Say that advertising line again. Advertising is the word.
what's that, I'm sorry?
The slogan you said
Oh,
about
advertising is a tax paid by the unremarkable, which is interesting to me because if you think about the word remarkable, it means, worthy of making a remark about. So what do you do that other people would talk about and what would they say? And then you get them to do the same for you, right? And if you were really, really, really remarkable, which I think we all have a gap there, so I'm not saying, but I'm trying to strive at, like, what would I have to do this month to get people talking so much about what I do and how I do it that I don't need a billboard, right? How do I become remarkable? And that kind of, and now, will we ever reach that? No. But I like that bar, and I like striving towards that. So that we can all sort of become a better version of us. Saying, okay, there's something better out there. And what if we all could do this? Because I also read this, and this scares me. And this is another reason that I love entrepreneurship. The greatest tragedy is the difference between who we are and what we could have been. And we all have that gap. And I think entrepreneurship allows us to shorten that gap more and catch up if we need to, I think, but we still have that gap, right? In fact, I also read this in another book. The definition of hell is God showing you what you could have been if you just trusted. Wow. And I was like, okay, that blows my mind and that scares me.
So I like your reference to baseball, right? Because baseball is the only endeavor you can be successful 30% of the time, and you're considered great.
Absolutely.
So like for everybody in here, as they're talking with reentering citizens and whatnot, with how you're talking, let's say, is there a chance to give like a one-liner to encourage them, right? You're coming out, you're kind of starting, you're at the starting line, and maybe your starting line is back here where others might be up here. What's just a line or just maybe a good paragraph just to start them to say, hey, you got this, you can do it, without it being just, hey, you got this.
Yeah, no, you're right. And well, that's a hard question because everything I feel like I would say sounds cliche to me, especially for the guy like me to say it, because I look like the guy that probably put their mama on the street. You know what I mean? Like I look like that guy. So it feels like it would sound trite.
Yeah.
The things that I would want to say. Well, the things I would want to say is one thing I know. I've been teaching entrepreneurship for a long time. I have the best practices of the best entrepreneurs that exist. I've got your information. I've got all the information. But what I know is it's not IQ. It's belief trumps IQ in entrepreneurship. Like that, I know that. It's not pedigree. It's not your ability. I know there's a lot of dumb rich people. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of those.
So then what's the one question you would ask them?
So
if it's not the answer, it's the question, right?
Yeah, I would get them. It's like, okay, I want you, what I do with every incoming student for what I do now is we're going to go through an exercise where we start envisioning our lives both personally and professionally. And I want to develop a clear picture, a vision of the future that produces passion in you. And I'm going to keep asking them questions until they start seeing that. Say, okay, here's the first step to get there. Because then if I can see it, right? And our subconscious doesn't think in terms of word or doesn't remember words. It has to be images, so I have to see it. Not successful. Tell me what success. I want you to paint a picture for me of success because we all have different definitions of success. Success is a word. You show me what that is. I want you to graphically tell me. I want you to give me goosebumps on my arm, because if goosebumps always sell. I want to tear up when you tell me this vision, and if you can't do that, you're going to go back and do it again. You know, that kind of thing, so they see it. Because once I start believing, like, and I also believe this, it's not facts that move mountains. It's not. I got all your facts. That's not moving the mountains. It's the faith, it's the belief. I believe, right? I believe. If you really believed that your life would be better if you followed me, you would follow me. If you really believe that.
That's right.
Right? Belief is such a powerful, powerful thing. But it also sounds very trite to say those kinds of things. So I think I would more show it like, okay, I want you to, hey, you know what? Tell me the most important thing to you. And I would just start asking all kinds of questions to try to get them there. Because they have to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has to believe in your dream, but you do. Leaders are always first believers. Right? I have to believe. You don't have to believe in me, but I have to believe in me. Right? And it's really hard to accomplish great things if you really don't believe. And we all struggle with that doubt, and that's fine. Sometimes, we say, gosh, I say all this, can I really deliver it? I know. We all struggle a little bit. But I will be kept. My significance will be kept if I can't believe more.
Right.